Somewhere on a quiet summer evening, at the edge of the forest, tiny lights began to twinkle in the darkening grass. Sam, a curious little boy, looked around in awe, his eyes wide open. For a moment, he stayed silent. He was too amazed by the tiny glowing dots, blinking like little stars right beneath his feet. He reached out carefully, trying to catch one in his hands, but it slipped through his fingers. Then he squinted, wondering if maybe they were tiny machines or magical bugs he'd never seen before. His mind buzzed with questions, each more exciting than the last. Finally, unable to contain his excitement any longer, Sam turned toward Professor Zapnik, his eyes wide with wonder. He jumped up, pointing excitedly into the night. "It's like tiny stars are flying around," he exclaimed. "Professor Zapnik, look over there. They're glowing. It's like tiny stars are flying around," said Sam excitedly. A soft light filled the forest, and tiny glowing dots danced above the grass. "Ah, yes, Sam. Nature's little lanterns. Fireflies. Come closer, and I'll show you why they glow," invited the professor, pulling out a magnifying glass and a notebook from his pocket. Sam slowly stepped over and sat down in the grass next to the professor. In front of them, a little firefly was glowing softly. In the hush of the luminous forest, Professor Zapnik leaned closer, prepared to explain the glowing secret of the fireflies. "But, Professor, how do they do it? Do they run on batteries?" asked Sam in amazement. "Not at all," laughed the professor. "That glow is called bioluminescence, a special process that doesn't need any batteries or light bulbs." Sam turned toward the professor, listening closely to Zapnik's explanation. The professor pointed the magnifying glass at the tiny insect and began to explain. "At the very end of the firefly's body, there's a tiny organ we call the light-producing organ. Inside it, two important things come together: luciferin and oxygen," explained the professor. "Luciferin? What's that?" asked Sam curiously, as the professor held out his magnifying glass, trying to show him the tiny little firefly. "A special substance that can create light when it reacts with oxygen and an enzyme called luciferase," answered the professor. "The reaction is so efficient that it produces almost no heat. That's why we call it cold light." Sam and the professor watched in wonder as the firefly lit up once again in the darkness. "But why do they glow? Just to look pretty?" asked Sam. "Good question, Sam," nodded the professor. "They glow mostly to communicate. Males and females send signals to each other with their lights. It's like the bugs are writing little glowing love letters." Meanwhile, more and more fireflies appeared above the meadow, like tiny floating lanterns in the air. "So, this is a love message?" asked Sam in wonder. "Exactly," smiled the professor. "But some species also use their glow as a warning, to tell predators they're not a tasty snack. It's like holding up a tiny glowing sign that says, 'Better not eat me,'" added the professor with a wink. The meadow was now filled with yellow-green twinkling lights. Sam felt like he had stepped into another world. "Professor, maybe I'll become a scientist one day, and study light too," said Sam with excitement. The professor paused for a moment, seeing the spark of wonder in Sam's eyes. "I'm sure you will, Sam, because curiosity will always glow inside you, just like a firefly," replied Professor Zapnik with a smile. 1,000 tiny lights danced across the meadow, twinkling like stars fallen to earth. And so, on this magical summer evening, Sam learned that even the smallest creatures can light up the world, and that science helps us understand the wonders around us. The fireflies still glowing around them like floating lanterns. Sam looked up at him with a smile. "Can we explore more mysteries tomorrow?" he asked. The professor chuckled, nodding. "Of course, Sam. The world is full of glowing questions waiting to be answered."